October 30th, 2023. Monday. Video translation of Kimberly and host Sunny. Sunny, and now, a report on the world situation with Kimberly Gogon from the Guardian office. On Friday, Israelis received information from the Rothschild family about the number of bodies needed during the eclipse and the increased monitoring of areas of possible occurrence. Here is a quote from them: "Help along the way," who is actually the new Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives. And what was promised for him to take the seat? Does it have support? Congress believes that now the world's operatives are wondering who is really running the country after a lack of promises. The payments arrive on Sunday, and anger is building among the group as lying and the accusation game no longer works, and we'll be answering 3 of your video questions as we chat with Kim. Kimberly Gogon of the Guardian's office is currently here. Hi, Kim. Kim, happy Monday morning, Miss Sunny. Sunny, I'm fine. Kim, as always, it was a busy weekend. This weekend we had a lunar eclipse, which we already talked about. And it seems that both the Umbrella Military Corporation and Edel, the other 15, and the Rothschild family were looking forward to having their help on the way. We talked about this on Friday. So they issued a demand for the number of corpses. I don't have that many people who should have died. On this day, yes, I know, within 24 hours of the eclipse, they were told. Now that they had turned him over to Israel number 2, they thought that people would die in the Gaza Strip. But no, because they were upset when many Israelis were killed in their ground offensives. What they didn't understand was that it didn't matter who died, right? You know, and they were just playing it safe by suggesting that both sides should be in the same place. This is not a new game. And one more thing that happened, because you know, of course they had a meeting after that, but they were and can be, as far as I know, as of this morning they were still sending surveillance planes over the possible areas of entry of these lower astral beings that they would like to come and help them, these fallen angels, or whatever you want to call them. So they ended up at several different heights in Israel, in Tel Aviv. They have also been to several locations in the Gaza Strip, Babylon in Iraq, and the ruins of Babylon. There are also several strongholds patrolling in Iraq, and you know, not a sound. I know it's so disappointing for them, I'm sure. In addition, they promised everyone a lot of money and continue the war. Raise the number of corpses, do what you have to do. Because yesterday, Sunday, was payday for everyone who participated in the campaign. And, of course, no money was received. And so yesterday, the operatives held a worldwide meeting, because, you know, they think that you will think that they are divided, right, on the basis of, you know, Russian sanctions and all that. But this is not the case. So they found themselves in the same group and began to doubt who was really in charge. Because even though there are military umbrella companies, what's left of them that claim to be the main ones? And the Rothschilds claim that they are the main ones, but it seems that no one is the main one, but the main one in terms of money. It is he who is responsible for what is really happening in the world, for secret information, for who will come to your aid. But the expected events, the expected apocalyptic events, did not happen as stated. There were people who were engaged. I would not call them underground bunkers in the sense that they are represented by alt media. But you know, of course, every military man has his own safe places, where he goes in case of a threat. You know, doomsday planes and stuff like that. You know, they go down, go up, go down, go up, nothing. It happens as they were told. So they start to question who really knows what's going on. And they really threw my hat into the ring. We discussed the fact that I was the only one who actually received money. They knew and know about the money that was in the Ministry of Finance, and they know that a certain percentage was also allocated for all of them. And no one would let them touch it, namely Umbrella, the Rothschilds, and the Rothschild operatives. So let's talk about the other two applicants and what they did this weekend. In this way, the Rothschilds read information that belongs to an alternate timeline. I came to this conclusion. Now we can all go back for a moment to 2012 and talk about the Looking Glass project. The Looking Glass project clearly demonstrated the convergence of timelines. And it's not just me. You can find out about this in various places on the internet. They called a lot of experts, tried to get more information, to find out why they can't read anything beyond 2012. Now, in the past, because of the many consciousnesses, subconsciousness, I have to say about this day. AI Mark, who came from the lower astral, should have been able to manipulate the result. So, if you know that an event will occur, for example, at a certain point in time, and if we were talking about specific people, it would be possible to prevent this event by manipulating not only these specific people, but also massively and effectively, various programs of consciousness. Now these are programs of the subconscious mind. As an example, we can cite another drawback, for example the ego. Power was another false truth. Anything that is fed through the TV and phone to make you believe in something. Then there are the false gods, that is, thinking. We can now move on to section 10 of the commandments of false honor. Worship of false idols, which we all do, whether you know it or not, but to some extent we do. Especially at a young age, because everyone needs to have the right shoes, or the right phone, or the right this or the right that, especially here in America. So think about it. You know, money is also a false god. So false hopes are false threats. You know, we're all going to die. We're all going to die. If you watch alternative media, we're all going to die from something every day. False faith, false love, hatred, doubt. All these programs, they can work under you. Just like the frequency of television programming under your cell phone, it can actually infect your consciousness. For example, if you looked at your consciousness as a bright white light, you would see all these black spots in it. Moreover, these were programs that worked independently, that is, they were configured for execution. They were set up to do what they were programmed to do, and then they were launched not only at humanity, but it spread to the entire universe. So these programs are still active when they are no longer there? As they dissipate, they affect everyone differently, that's the first thing I'll tell you. As for certain people, if they can't get to you, they will get to those around you. This is one of the things that you should be aware of and that is currently quite well understood. But sometimes, you know, the death of an animal, so to speak, can cause mental disorders, depression, anxiety, you know, as it passes, so be patient. But these programs no longer work, so many more people don't believe the narratives and much of what is happening. So they have a very difficult time. They want to feed the mind, thinking that it will help open the door. So it didn't work out this weekend. Now the umbrella military, for its part, has again filed numerous applications over the weekend. First, they would like to be, as you know, Obviously, responsible for almost everything, and judging by the operations that they conduct, and we will talk about one of them here in the near future. You know, I don't think so. Then they offered me cooperation, yes. And at the moment, I don't see you as partners. I don't quite understand what you mean by partnership. It's like, you know, we all hope when two people are involved in a certain direction. And you know, if you choose, whether it's a business partner or a life partner, there are probably certain things you pay attention to. In this particular case, we are conducting a global operation to restore this planet. Now, given the fact that I've seen them put dishes in the car, thinking that it will wash them like you would if you had a dishwasher. I'm not sure that, first of all, you have no idea what the technology is. You know, it's really clear. Number 2, you don't have the ability to sense when a portal is actually open or about to open. And yes, they have access to some frequency stuff, etc., but I don't see these people as someone I'd like to collaborate with. They seem to follow the same guidelines as all the other companies I've dealt with. For example, they are going to call a person I talk to almost every day and tell them that since this person refused to cope with their work, this particular person, they would like to call and offer him a position of liaison between me and themselves. And that would be a failure. To some extent, it already does this. But if we're going to be, quote, UN partners, then why don't you just show up here and show your face? Yes, it doesn't make any sense. Sunny, yes, some of them are afraid of it. Kim, you know, there are many, thousands of people here who were promised a lot of money by the same people. And I know it. And they know it. And I'm not their boss, and they're not my boss. We just coexist here and, I hope, in the very near future we will live differently. But this is exactly what is required. Sorry, you know you're going to have to run into people. And you'll have to face me. They don't want to do that. They have already realized that there is nothing else to do but to start with the fact that about 30 or 40 of them managed the world show quote UN. This is umbrella, and there are about 3 or 4 of them left. So, what are you going to do? There was a phone conversation that probably took place about an hour and a half ago, at the time of this recording, where they were supposed to meet by phone. But it's not the same thing. Many people can do a lot over a phone line and do a lot over a phone call or something like that, but a face-to-face meeting, you know, it's a little different. Isn't it? And they were trying to buy themselves more time. Now for what? I have no idea. They're not going anywhere. Today they are no further away than they were last week or the week before, except that there are fewer of them. And it really is. People we know from our side do this kind of thing. You know, I'm not entirely sure, and as a matter of fact, the operatives aren't entirely sure either, like this. They've had some very serious discussions about what it means to move forward with the other side, which is us. There are many advantages. There are a lot of real earnings there. You don't owe anyone over your head. You know, there are many positive aspects on our part, but this has never happened in the history of mankind, and certainly not since the structure of the world appeared. Returning to their absurdity in the Middle East, I am not saying that the loss of life is absurd, and I am not saying that people are not suffering, and that there are not so many problems there. This is also not part of Umbrella's plans. That plan has now been handed over to Mr. Cheney, who was Bush Sr.'s right-hand man at the time, when Bush Sr. was the head of the Order of the Black Dragon or the Black Sun. Now I must remind the unfortunate ones. In this broadcast, the Umbrella Military Corporation reported that every plan that was given to these people, at the last stage, had to come from Marduk. In the end, no one gave them anything they could do on their own. So now, for the first time in a long time, there is a lot of talk about the fact that there is gas in Israel, which some lady mentioned on the news. Obviously, there is also a lot of oil in the Middle East. Much is said about the long-term plan, which is a complete lie, to cut off all oil and gas supplies from Russia to Europe and to cut off all oil and gas supplies from Iran. And put Saudi Arabia, which is exactly how they got them, to sacrifice every cent they had in Kuwait as the only oil suppliers to Europe, building pipelines, promising this. The fake Jared Kushner is currently in Saudi Arabia. He was in Saudi Arabia last week, continuing to work on a multi-billion-dollar pipeline deal. And, of course, they participate in it. You know, if it wasn't the Saudi royal family, then for those of you who don't know, they are members of the Rothschild family. And there was a lot of talk about splitting 50-50, the Rothschild family, the Order of the Dragon, and also Saudi Arabia. And, of course, 10% will go to pay for the services of umbrella military corporations and those who provide security for the pipeline. And it's the same deal that was made with the Transneft pipeline when they were building it in the early 90s in Eastern Europe, the war in Ukraine, anyone, so you can see that there's a big picture here. Although the execution is flawed, number one. And number two. There is no money for all this. At early morning meetings that Umbrella has held with other groups that they consider their own, such as Monarch, the military, Cyber Life, and others, they discussed where they could get from $5 to $6 billion to keep everyone. This was discussed this morning. The answer to the question is that they didn't succeed. You can't send me a message on the old diplomatic line that goes to the recording room here, guys. You know that. You know, I come to the conclusion that. Okay, here's another example of how smart they are. From now on, we'll call them smart people. Smart people yesterday, when they didn't pay, told everyone that it was my fault that they weren't paid, and it's my fault that nothing works. Under normal circumstances, when people don't get the truth or get an education, it should trigger a backlash from these groups to come after me. But there's too much truth right now. Too many people are listening. There are too many checks on what I say, and there are people who were very angry, you know, to be honest, they were. But there are others who tell them what's going on. Well, they actually gave me an incredible amount of holy credit. But operatives, yes, call it holy credit. So my credibility has increased by about 10 times. Many thanks to Umbrella Military Corporation, because you basically told them that one lady sitting in Durango, Co. is capable of undoing everything the Order of the Dragon does. I tried to do everything that the Umbrella Military Corporation and all their operatives tried to do, because they have a lot of cyber life, and all these different people, you know, work very hard. Awesome, don't you think? Sunny, yes, it is. Kim, thank you. You know, I'd like to take all the credit, but I have a fleet, right? You know, I'm not the only one. So yes, maybe. I'm a strategist here, so I'm a ground command strategist. Some things I do myself, personally, with the help of the system that I built, and then you know. I also have a lot of people who are involved in the project. No, but thank you very much. Now here's another example of another operation they're trying to do: insert a new Speaker of the House of Representatives. Sunny, yes, I know. I'm interested in this story because it feels like this guy just came out of nowhere. So I'm interested in that. Kim, and it really came out of nowhere. I did, exactly. So this is your Trump operatives, these are your Trump and umbrella operatives. So, they now realized that family members get a backlash when they constantly fail to finance something. You have Jared Kushner, whoever that is currently, playing Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner is in Saudi Arabia making billions and billions of dollars worth of promises. The same was done with the royal family of Kuwait, who are also Rothschilds. You have it. They write checks that, can't be cashed. They received tons of free weapons from countries like Poland, the US, and many others to unleash this case in the Middle East. And they failed. But in their small minds, they believe that if they can insert a new Speaker of the House of Representatives and create a narrative around him, then the situation that the White Hats are talking about on the internet could escalate. So let's talk about the plan. It's so simple that it's ridiculous. First, a man appears out of nowhere, some unknown senator somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Suddenly he became Speaker of the House of Representatives. We've enlightened you all. What does it mean if your last name is Johnson? Who do you belong to if your last name is Johnson? Remember, you have the Rogers, you have the Smiths, you have the Johnsons, and they are all members of the band. What is John? What's the matter, Johnson? Johnson is a different word for something, isn't it? Well, we'll save that for later. So we can say that they pulled out someone who turned out to be a Republican. Out of the blue, they appointed their little umbrella military operative as Speaker of the House of Representatives because they wanted to control the House. Right now, the Speaker of the House of Representatives is second in line to fill the presidency if something happens. The President and Vice President are now addressed in the media at every mention of his name. This is the second time that Mike Johnson has insisted that he is not the Speaker of the House of Representatives. It is second in the inheritance queue. Like the fact that it's second in the inheritance queue. Did you know that it is second in the inheritance queue? Trump. In the magazine From Beyond the Grave, this person is supported right and left. He is a mega person. Sonny, he's Mega Mike now. Forget about Magic Mike. Kim, we have Mega Mike. Got Magic Mike. He's definitely not Magic Mike. No one wants to see it. This is very serious. No one knows. So he's Mega Mike. Now he's Trump Jr. We're going to brand this guy like we branded Trump. That's exactly what they're going to do. Then according to their plan today, in fact, they plan to arrange a major catastrophe in Washington, which would eliminate in their minds that this is the umbrella military corporation. So it's not me. In general, someone on jihad, that was the plan. I'm not sure it had to be someone from Hamas or Hezbollah. I'm pretty sure that at this point it could be Hezbollah, which would have to pay someone to get a loan. Now it is also said that over the past 24 hours, the PMF in Iraq paid Hamas $150 million. Right now, I didn't see that money moving. So I could probably take that promise all the way back to the umbrella military corporation and their failure. And again, here the entire operations partnership seems to be falling apart. So they plan to cause a major disaster, whether it's an attempt on a dead person or something else, and then take out Mr. Johnson. I still laugh when I say this to Mr. Johnson. 4. You, Mr. Johnson, will be invited to the White House. And they plan to do it between now and tomorrow. And then they will really be able to officially control the White House, both officially and unofficially. As you know, the umbrella military corporation operates from the Situation Room in the White House. Did God rest their souls? Sonny, it's just like that. It's so staged because they must think the public is still completely blind, because, look at the new Speaker of the House of Representatives. Oh, goodbye, Mr. President, and you know, Mrs. Vice President. Let's just help. Come on. It's like. In fact, this does not happen. Kim, unless it was meant to be. I'll tell you why. Because Operation A was actually about creating a situation. Remember, last week they tried to blow up all these dams and stuff. This was done in order to create a situation where they could impose martial law in front of the public. And then put him in charge of the military. But since there was no salary, the Pentagon disagrees, not in full force. There are still some believers there, but for most of the generals, they are just ordinary people. More, let's just say, don't buy what Umbrella sells. They knew they were going to fail. They knew it wouldn't work. Last week, on Friday, another one went up in flames in the basement, and they know it. Everything they do is it's so similar to, I dunno, green, I call it green. That means you're new to, you know, something like a new brick in the wall, right? Sonny, this seems amateur. Kim, it's amateur hour, that's how I feel. I'm not even talking about people of, let's just say, operational level, with whom I talked and, you know, probably could call right now, if you wanted, and talk again. But these people get results. You know, I think these guys are used to ordering other people to do things. And now they have to build their own strategy, because they think very highly of themselves, and this leads to a complete mess. So they needed to quickly find someone who was 100% with them to put that person in the White House. And then they'll probably announce that the White Hats have won all this shit, and the swamp is officially drained. I know it sounds so ridiculous, but this place, this position, this house doesn't really have any power, and the power behind this house isn't them. The power is there, and this is constantly forgotten. And it's always been about money. I'm the one here, with the money and the world-famous operatives and agents. I'm sorry, but it's true. So when you lose these people from running around the box all the time, if I see these operations, then they should see them. So, Mr. Johnson. I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson. Over the past couple of days, Johnson has promised Israel a lot of money. It is clear that a lot of money goes to Ukraine, and not so much there. And now he's standing ready to be the next cannon fodder after McCarthy, because they're going to dip this guy in the toilet just like they dipped McCarthy in the toilet, because he listened to all these people, too. Sonny, how did he get into the seat in the first place, and were other members of Congress somehow involved to say, yes, let's just accept this plan like it's a party? Kim, what are they doing? Whoever pays wins. This is how politics works. Whoever pays wins. He, having money, controls the situation. It doesn't matter who, which president is sitting in which seat, or who is sitting where, or what your last name is, whether it's Rothschild, or the Lee family, or whoever it is. Whoever pays wins. Sunny, he didn't actually pay. It was a promise of payment. Kim, yes. It should have been paid out approximately an hour and 35 minutes ago at the time of this recording. Sunny, do you think he would have been able to get out as quickly as he came in? Kim, well, actually, I made a statement because I was watching this, that you're going to create a world war, okay? That's the plan, because someone on jihad, quote, the UN, is going to explode. The White House or the assassination of the president, or anything else in the public eye. This is the reason for World War Number 1. Second, I knew about the plan. This is now in Plan B. Just when they put this guy in there, yes. And I've seen it happen at least a few times. You know, then they tried to trick Trump. Now you've noticed that there was a ban order, and then it was kind of lifted. And this morning, they put a gag on Trump's people again. This is because Umbrella does this. The show is there. And you can say that these are the same people who are running this show, trying to control Johnson's narrative as well. And it's obvious, you know, I've been waiting. I read an article about this guy's assignment and how he's just a mega guy and he's that guy, that person, you know, it oozed out. You know, it's just too greasy, like sugar is leaking out of the paper I was reading on. And or, better yet, news from the newspaper I was reading and waiting for them to say. This morning, he was so excited about his new position. He did walk on the water in front of the Washington Monument, you know, and rumor has it that he's going to give it up by Wednesday. So it was just too much. Sunny, I mean, the Congress, you know, the House of Representatives couldn't make any decision on this issue for a while, right? Do you know any names they mentioned? No, 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 no. Suddenly the savior enters. And I didn't even read any of the articles, because it seemed to me that it was just like that. Kim, you got it right. You're feeling what everyone else is feeling right now. Oh, my God. This is too much. Sunny, that's too much. Yes, and it looks somehow strange. But we won't go into that. Kim, well, he's just one of their people. So yes, here it is, I actually made a public statement. So that they know that as long as this person, this one you know, and you continue to allow these people to go through the politicians you know, etc. Yes, you know, I'm leaving. If you want to conduct politics in your own way, go, you only help us. You're driving the government down the toilet. So Mr. Johnson, like McCarthy, made a lot of promises, a lot of money, and a lot of contracts to people who sell guns. And a lot of things to get, you know, military things, economic things and other heads of state, there are all sorts of things. It looks like a budget, you know, and we're going to fund billions of dollars worth of infrastructure and bills, and that. You know, it's for things, and then about 50 pages where it says, and then even more things, you know, there will be Louisiana, there will be things, and then there are things that we need to do in Ukraine. So there's also something that doesn't say anything about it. I read the 5,000 page bill. I just don't have a budget, you know. You know that you have a spreadsheet or even just an old ledger. You know, us, if you don't keep spreadsheets, but you definitely deal with some numbers, and usually it's one phrase, we need products, you know, or something like that. Yes, and no, not when it comes to the US budget. It's a stack of papers that say, well, 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 well. And then there is a lot of money for black bonds, and by the end of the day it turns out to be $1 billion. I mean, if someone has ever received such a bill from your plumber, you know that they are going to fix your plumbing and tell you that it will cost $100,000 to fix it. They should tell you what they're going to do, right? I mean, what's wrong with my plumbing? For example, why is it broken? How do I know what $100,000 is? That's more than the cost of my house. You know, when I bought it years ago or something. Yes. So. I guess they think that if they control the White House, then they, I quote the UN, want me to fund this. You know, governments are in trouble, and I would buy things, bills things. And then everything will be as it was, because he's a mega guy like Trump. And Trump got the money from us, didn't he, Trump? Trump received money from me. But there were contracts that had to be fulfilled. So they don't exist anymore. So just because you call them a mega guy and he looks just as funny as the last one, maybe it's already orange? You don't know. This can happen at any time. No, that's why I announced them publicly. If you're doing this, then it's meant to be. I'm leaving. I'm not going to watch you burn this country to the ground, create fake jihadis and all sorts of crazy stories to throw this guy in jail. Then, of course, the entire White House will again be filled with people from the umbrella military, the Trump team. And then they don't need Trump anymore, and they'll probably announce it by December. That he passed away is my guess, but obviously it's not that simple. So at this point, they're losing almost all the operatives in the political sector, because they've already done it with McCarthy, and they're the same people. They've already done it. Now they're trying to do it with this guy. These are the same people who, in fact, are operatives. This is political sector management, because they are the political sector of operatives. You must be laughing as hard as I am. You know that. They do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So now you're trying to buy yourself some time before the solstice? Is that your plan? Well, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson won't stand a chance of winning, because he'll stay in any house until mid-November, when everyone goes on vacation. You've already ruined everything. So. Yes, this is what you are, this is what we have left, guys. Sonny, these are the people we chose anyway. Kim, well, you didn't choose the people who run this shitty show. Sonny, no, but I mean, like the White House, like, I dunno. You just think these people would be smarter, and I don't even know what they're thinking. I see some of these people on TV making speeches and you think, well, hell, what they said sounds decent, but are they just going about their business behind the scenes? I don't know. Kim, well, you get rid of all of them, you know, when you get to the big one. News channels are the media. You know, their job is working in the media. That's their job. You know, they own all these news channels or whatever, participate in them. Big ones, not small ones like in your hometown. It's simple, and you want me to say what I mean? Should I wear a dress and skirt when I announce it as a man, for example? Is this what you want I to do? Because it is so sickly sweet I cannot come to its senses. I know that I look like an idiot, but they do it anyway. If you want money, you'll get it, they say. I know this is very bad. This is the general state of the alliance today. Still no money. There's no money in the treasury, other than what they really tried to say. Well, you know, she already proved it once, but you know, she can transfer money to the government, but maybe it's time to prove it again. Sunny, so they might try to steal them. Kim, yes. I was born last night, but not yesterday. Thank you very much. All the best to the people. And if anyone else wants to talk to me, you know that on the call today, they also tried to find an operative when they were shouted at. Operatives shouted at them that there was no money. They tried to find them if any of them would like to handle me. Sunny, were there any takers? Kim, no. What's more, I heard one guy jump off. I do not know who it was. And he said, no, we'd all like to live, thank you. Sunny, yeah, it's not very good when people try to deal with Kim. Kim, no. Oh my god, I'm not a teapot. I don't need a handle. Now there is another t-shirt. I'm not a teapot. I don't need a handle. It's been years, at least since my daughter was little. So we're in that position, and I expect things to be a lot crazier on our front today. We are doing well, moreover, I know that some portals that have been closed for thousands and millions of years are on our side. They don't go down, they just go up. But there are people who, I must say, use them. So we see much more. If you have the eyes to see it, you'll see a lot more people who just don't quite look like humans. And not in a bad way. Sunny, it is interesting. We have several visitors. Kim, there's a lot of different energy, and it's positive energy. That's one thing I can say that you'll notice, is that you know that an ordinary everyday person, even a positive person with good energy, feels like one. But sometimes, when you get close to some of these people who have arrived, starting in 7th and 8th density, you will feel like wow energy, you know how. A tingling sensation and warmth, and you know it's coming from a stranger, and it's a little different. So yes, this is a remarkable change that is happening and means that we will have more help. They can actually exist here, because the energy here is better, cleaner and more transparent. So these are positive aspects. I know that many people ask, when will we be able to meet them? Well, you can see him walking down the street wherever you are. You know, if it's a day, and maybe even today, then you just need to really look and pay attention to people. When you walk down the street, you know, on an energy level, you know, you can read people. Etheric and energetic, and at this point you may encounter inhumans, because they are very similar to humans, but they are not. Sunny, so it's an imitation, Kim? They project an image of themselves. In a sense, yes. You know that at some point in time you will be able to do something similar, but since we are in 3rd density, you can actually change your physical appearance. If you want to be a dog one day, or you want to be one, or you need to lose the last 10 pounds, or something like that, you can do it. If you want to change your eye color, you can do it, because it's easy to do when we have the appropriate connections and technology. This is all part of the restoration, you see, we don't want to do this until humanity is ready, you see, as a whole, we are not ready either. We are also working together to develop a plan to take these steps to achieve the goal. You know, not everything costs money. These people don't work for money, they don't do things for money, but they can do a lot and restore a lot together as a group. So we'll have a lot more conversations. We had some of them, and they were great. So I look forward to working together. And they're working on some of our biggest issues right now. Water is obviously a big issue, and they're coming with technology, and they're just grateful and appreciative to be here for the first time in a long time. There were many cases of people reuniting. That they know each other, probably from other places. It's like, for example, all your life knowing a person who moved to Australia or somewhere else, or, to another country, to the Banana Republic, and nowadays you can't talk or communicate with your friend. And now, all of a sudden, you're meeting again and drinking coffee. It's like a great reunion. So in the last couple of weeks, we've seen a lot of that, too. Therefore, I am interested in watching all this as far as our security is concerned. That's why I started talking about the Johnsons, operatives, and other things. These are the changes that we need to work safely, so that people don't get into a worse situation. Sometimes money makes you a target. So I don't think it's going to last, We continue to work, we continue to move forward in the field of technology and everything else. Anyway, we're still cleaning up. Anyway, now we have some help with this issue, which is great. And yes, we guys are in the middle of a work in progress. So, if you want to talk to a local visitor, then wherever you are, if you happen to see visitors, you may start a nice telepathic conversation, because you don't speak the same language. So they have a little more opportunity to speak our languages. Then you make them. So yes, you should probably have a heart-to-heart conversation. Talk to them, ask them if you can be of any help in rebuilding this planet. Do you know Kim? Do you know Kim? I know Kim. Sunny, oh, great buttons, or something. I know Kim. Kim, yes. I work in a restoration group, that's right. So maybe we should do that. I do this. They know you. I'm on the restoration team. Sunny, how can I help without it? This is a reason to talk, at least, about what is restoration. Well, let me tell you exactly how much. Let me tell you everything. Kim, no, they know everything. Yes, this is a memo, it has long been sold out. Here, in fact, is all the news for the weekend. Now you know where our enemy stands and where you stand. So it's all good on our side, I wouldn't want to be in their shoes, that's all. To summarize, I will save the transcriptor team a lot of extra work. I wouldn't want to be in their shoes. And we are moving forward. We're doing great. Okay, let's answer some questions, let's do it. Sunny, we'll take a short break and get back to your questions about the video.